Hi, Veronica.
Hola Luis, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be talking to you. How are you in New York? Has the weather changed?
It is cold and raining, and yeah, we're feeling very cozy inside.
How
How is
romantic.
Mexico?
Mexico is just as romantic. It's although I'm like sweating and glowing, I have adapted to it. I no longer care that my hair is a mess. Uh, but talk to me. You do some amazing stuff. I saw your page, and we have some acquaintances uh, in common. What do you do?
So I just recently launched Domingo Comms, which is an art advisory and interior design service where it's kind of a whole bespoke opportunity for individuals and businesses to utilize my experience working in communications and the arts. And I just launched featured artists as well in September, which also kind of combines my love of art and working very closely with artists to connect them with this interior design service. So it really is like a whole package,
That's
one-stop shop.
beautiful. I love that. You know, I think it's so important when people build these bridges like you're building, right? Because a lot of times artists, by education, formal education, are taught to kind of be very individualistic, and we're not taught how to open the door to the studio and really build connections or how to translate our work into everyday life, right? So to hear that you're doing something as exciting with design and connecting artists to potential buyers is so exciting. How has the adventure been? What was the impetus? Tell me how you started this.
It has just been such a wonderful journey, and it's come so authentically and really like I really thank my lucky stars because it just feels like it's really come from outside, but from everything I kind of started building on my own, just really from the heart. I started to write about. I looked around during quarantine and writing about art, and as we were earlier, my background, my mom is from Colombia, and so I just always have that connection with Latin America, and I had been visited Mexico recently, and so I have a lot of artworks just personally, and then I started writing about, and that kind of opened the door to connections with artists that I was like, wow, I can't believe I get to like actually talk to these people, let alone get to go into their studios and kind of get that behind the scenes experience. And that was just where featured artists was built out of, because I was like, I can offer, and I have done in the past in my when I was working for Affordable Art Fair and for Pulse Art Fair, working in communications, I know what it takes to get, I know how to drive attention to works, and I know that artists have to focus on their craft, and they have to be, totally centered in their practice, and like, that does not a lot of the times align with like being able to communicate or to like fully promote themselves. And I totally believe that they shouldn't have to do that. Like, that's my job, and I really enjoy it, and it really gets me excited. And so I have all these clients that really want to be like a part of Domingo, this like whole community of like the clients feel connected. And we just recently had an event where a few of my clients were meeting a few of the artists, and they feel like they know each other and they recognize each other, and that Domingo is like built that. It's just the best feeling ever.
Can you tell me about the name? Where does the name come from?
So Domingo means Sunday in Spanish. It's a crazy story. Like, I had moved back. I was living in London for a long time, and when I moved back to New York, I was going to freelance and kind of start this up. And I thought of the name Domingo. Like, I don't know. Like, I probably growing up, maybe your mom would watch like Sábado Gigante
Yes,
and like Sábado
absolutely.
Domingo, and like I don't know. Like, it was just always in the back of my mind. I love the word. I love the sun. I love that visual. It's just always some of my favorite symbols. So I kind of had that. I built up like a little website. I had nothing on it. And then years later, I was thinking I was going to do something boring like Veronica Petty Consulting, and I opened up Squarespace, and there it was, like, waiting for me. And I was like, oh, cool, okay, like, let's go for it. And it's really taken off. Like, I've had so much positive responses to the name, particularly. And some people even thinking that it's my name. They're like, oh, you're Domingo. I'm like, oh, I forgot. I I forgot that that's an actual name. I was like, no, I'm Veronica, but I love that it's like my alter ego now.
I love that. I'm just going to call you Dominga from now on. Now, I'm sure I can hear a bunch of artists in the background cheering you on, and you said, that's not their job, that's my job. Now, tell me, what is the ideal artist? Because I know it can be difficult to work with artists who are so enclosed. What makes a good artist ready to work with someone like you, or even just putting themselves out there with other collectors?
That's such a great question, because I think I talk to my artists a lot about this, where you have to be willing to meet halfway and to put in, you have to have that foundation of your story, of what your work is putting out there in the world. Like, I can't do that for you. I can spread the message about that, and I can, do my best to share that with clients, or going out to galleries and meeting them for you, and being able to spread far and wide, because I have this community of artists. So now I have, kind of a plethora of artists that I can, okay, do you like this? Do you like this? And something will fit with whoever I'm just talking with. But if I don't know your story and what your art means and what you want to express with that, I can't do as much as I could otherwise. So I'm always stressing to the artists at the very beginning of our process working together, like, I need to do the homework for other people, but you need to do your homework for me, so that I can turn that around, put that in. I put it into a Domingo format that's become easier and easier to kind of refine, and so that people kind of know what they can expect from me too, and funnel that through. And it's worked really beautifully, because I think something that's very that I just see, and it fills me with such pride when I see that an artist has come to, because of our work together, and the storytelling aspect of Domingo runs through not only through the interior design, but also helping artists and helping collectors define their stories, and working with them and seeing kind of that light bulb, like, oh my God, the connection made, and we're like, yeah, and go for it, and it works. It's just been some of the most beautiful moments.
And what are the narratives that you're interested in telling and sharing?
Recently, it has, been around culture, and I didn't realize that was something that was going to come out so strongly. It really was. I mean, Domingo was just that was just something personal to me, and then I've really had to explore my own culture, my lineage, my family, my relationships, and how, with the artists that I'm working with, how I find myself choosing artists and artworks that connect with me without really thinking about it. And then I kind of, in conversation or in the storytelling process, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't make that connection. And so, that's been kind of the first layer of Domingo. And I'm not, I don't want to close. I don't want to encapsulate anything. I want everything to just be fluid and keep coming naturally. If this kind of cultural stream where I'm working with my own heritage and my own background with Latin American artists and Latinx artists here in the U.S. that I connect with, amazing. Let's keep doing that. But I'm just open. I'm just keeping the door ready to have any kinds of experiences or artists or clients come my way.
Well, that's so important, I think, for people of color, people like you, to be doing these things, because I think so many times people don't realize that they're doing that they're being biased, right? And they are not inclusive of people of color. So to have you in a position of power that can lean into this, you're creating an opportunity for people who are kind of always bypassed. So that's fantastic. So lean into that. But that's fantastic. Yeah, I really love that.
I love that, yeah. I hope I can do that. I know. And that's why it's these past few months, it's only been a short period of time, but it's like, oh my God, I feel position, people are like, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this. I'm like, I'm really just everything. I really want to make this space something that I can work with. If an artist needs a very particular part of my experience or my expertise, let's do it. And I don't look at things in terms of those labels.
Yeah, there's a real need for it, I think. I with my podcast, as a matter of fact, I try to keep it as broad as possible as well. But I find myself kind of, feeling a void, but also being very malleable. Like I've just included the word wellness in the podcast because
Yeah.
I feel like if it doesn't have wellness in it, I'm not interested because we need so much wellness right now that I want to amplify that. So I connected with you because I can see that there is this, you literally have a sun. So it's like a sun glowing, it's like, all right, this is who I want to connect with. I need to amplify this. Now, let me ask you, with your clients at the moment, what are people being drawn to? Because psychologically, I'm sure they're seeking some kind of wellness. Have you seen that in their choices in art?
Yes, 100%. It's been, when I started this, even before Domingo officially launched, and that's kind of where I was the impetus came to do it, because people were like, I want what you have. And I love that you talk about wellness, because none of this would have happened without me kind of taking a look at my own health and how I was treating myself and my own mind. And it's like, body, heart, soul, and how that connected to the home, and how me doing this, telling the stories, researching what that opened up for me. And so then when I started doing that with my clients, and it was funny the first time. I've told this story a lot because I just think it's so great, but we sat down. She's like, I don't think I have a lot of stories. I think I just have a lot of, CB2 and West Elm stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let's start talking. She had these amazing pieces. So in her storage unit, from her grandmother, from her own back, from her trips, from her travels. And so we brought those in, we swapped out some pieces, and recently she just sent me a picture of her husband and her son looking in the mirror, and she wrote to me and said, this wouldn't have happened without you, this moment that I'm going to remember. It makes me emotional, because it was oh my God, you don't have to, go and spend. That's exactly what it's about. You don't have to spend a lot of money on, and you have it in you. Everything I'm doing is just pulling out from others, what they have. And then in terms of the artwork and how they're looking, it was, again, going back to her culture. There was a lot of that, she was that connection to her history and her past, and she was looking for works in that way. My other client, love the connection to Domingo. She's like, I just want to have something that's in that. And it was not actually a Domingo featured artist that we ended up finding, but it was a Colombian architect. And so it was a connection that I felt. I was telling you earlier, my grandfather was an architect in Colombia. So when I found this work, I just immediately zoned in on it. And I think, sometimes my enthusiasm for something, or that they trust me to be I was this is a real, something cool. You gotta have it. And then seeing them take that risk is an exciting, although scary, scary part of the job as well, because you're kind of waiting for it to arrive at their door, and seeing, because also throughout this new time in quarantine, I know I'd be doing things so differently. Right. If there was art fairs happening, if we could go to galleries all the time, if we could even just walk through a museum and talk about which works inspired them, so that I can go back and find more affordable pieces that reflect that. I know that this is a very weird and strange time to be having an art advisor, so that people trust that I'm, looking for works online. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I've been embracing these limitations, honestly. I wouldn't be connecting with you if it weren't for these limitations, honestly, because as my listeners will attest, my sound quality has gone, because I'm using the internet. I'm not a technical person, so I've had to use Skype, but I wouldn't have been connecting with you, especially with me being away from the US. But now, these limitations have these, openings that you can kind of dive into. Right, so it's so funny. Yesterday, I went to an art store here in Mexico, and I was looking for Mod Podge, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And I have always looked down at Mod Podge. I'd be like, that's for kids, right? And but the weather here is so humid that I collage, so my paper, warps. And I thought, maybe Mod Podge. Can't find it anywhere. And I thought, wow, like how ungrateful have I been, right? And I don't think I'll use it when I go back to the States, but I'm gonna explore. I'm gonna play with that a little bit. But
you're gonna have a new appreciation for it. Yeah, you're probably gonna have like maybe like 1 or 2 pieces in there that are just dedicated to that you'll have more fun with. You know, working with otherwise.
Absolutely. And that's what these invitations have been about. Now, let me ask you. So you said you recently had an event. How has that taken shape in this state?
Yeah, so that again was with one of my artists, Ellie D'Estachio. We connected because she put a piece of street art outside of my building that you can kind of see in the background here. It's sitting in my living room now. And what I loved about it was that it had like been outside during the Black Lives Matter protests, like literally walked past it. The ambulances during the pandemic were flying past. It's just quite a busy street, and it has been for all this moment. And so when I would see it it just brought me so much hope. And the fact that I was able to like connect and bring it into my home, I was like, we have to do this. Like, this would be so cool for other people to be able to bring her street art or to bring her pieces that are so like political, but then also have this tongue-in-cheek and like really quirky element that kind of opens conversations in a gentle way in the living room. I was like, that is amazing. So we connected with a local gallery space that they also do just a number of different things like music events and comedy shows. And so it was a real community experience. And it's been 2 months in the making, and just really like every day, you know, it takes so much to put on and get the right people. And it was just such a beautiful, because it was all outside, and it was like really important to us. Like we couldn't really do something that we didn't feel was being safe, and that we couldn't, you know, the doors were all open, everybody was outside and being very respectful of like going in and seeing the work and then coming out and then going, but you would see people like going in, like then going in again, like people stayed for the full 3 hours, and we made prints, and we did, you know, we really, of her drawings and some of the work, so she made new for the show, but others she was able to salvage some pieces from other parts of Brooklyn that she had put up the street art and was able to mount them on canvas. So they have this like incredibly special quality to them, where they've had this history that is very rare. I mean, to be a part of this time, this moment, be out on the streets of Brooklyn, where it was kind of the center of everything just a few months ago, like where the world was watching us as everything kind of began to unfold. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Can you tell me about the first artist you ever worked with? What was that like?
The first artist I ever worked with. Well, my mom's an artist. And so whenever
what was that like?
So my whole life I watched her, you know, this has all been really applying. She's what I saw her do all her life, putting, and she's really had to work hard for herself and put things up on her own, and really like, and I saw people that are kind of in my position now with my mom, and how they helped her, and how it actually was really important, like the position that they were in, and how they're still friends to this day, and the people that had really believed in her work and what that meant, even for me as a kid, to see my mom in a gallery, like on the Upper East Side, or to see how people like really valued her as a person, in addition. So I'm kind of I saw people that were like what I'm doing now. I think about them a lot, and how they, and I was like, I want to be like that, you know, like I don't really, I can't think of any negative, you know, like anything. I learned a lot from them.
How has that shaped your mission statement?
So, I mean, the featured artist, you know, that came after the launch of the interior, because I was like, wow, I have all these incredible relationships with these artists, I want to do more. And Paula Acevedo, who is in Bogota, she was actually the first Domingo featured artist's work that I purchased it a a year before any of that. I was still working, I was still at Affordable Art Fair, and we started, I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And so when I was writing about artworks, when I was posting about my interiors, when I was doing all of this, she was like at the center of that, and I was really nervous when I went to approach her, like ask if she would be a featured artist, because I was like fangirling. I was like, will you be a featured artist? And then she ended up designing the logo. And so my mission statement is all about storytelling and about making connections in interior design and art that are personal to you, and rediscovering your love for that in an affordable and accessible way, and making those connections for you, that are personal to you. So when I see all of that, I love that those working relationships. Where it was like I was working with her in a totally different capacity, through a gallery, through everything, but their support and the way that I worked with them years before, Connect came around. Like things come back around again. You have to treat, and I think that's good advice in the art world, is just like, really, people come around. I've been seeing that a lot.
Let me ask you, it sounds like you have a deep appreciation for spaces, right? You work with interior designers, you work with artists that create environments. Can you tell me about your happy place? Where is there a happy place in the world that you're filled with joy and want to go to as soon as this pandemic is over?
Right now, I'm missing my second home in London a lot. So I lived in Hoxton for many years, and Hackney in England, and I have all my closest friends there still, and we're in touch. I mean, we always were, but even now we're so much more connected. That's like, the beauty of this moment is just having a little bit more time at home to get on a quick FaceTime or something in between things. But there's so much art. That's when I really discovered contemporary art, was when I went to go do my master's at the King's College London, and I just, my first chance I get, I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to go see my family, I'm going to go to the theater and just sit in the set. That's always been a real happy place for me, is that Turbine Hall, and just like, what I love about that particular museum, not to go on a tangent, but
that's why we're here. I want you to come.
I'm sorry, but it's really what I love about the Tate versus like museums here in New York is how they're free and they make it a community space. Kind of tying back to like how we just recently did Ali's project. It was like a lot of that where it's like, I want to make it open and inclusive, and if you can pay $5, you can, and if you can't, it's okay too. And going into those spaces, like they had. You could literally have a picnic on the lawn there. Like, it was always something happening. You would meet your friends there. Like even people who weren't into art. Like it was just a meeting point on the South Bank. So you're like, making it so easy for people to discover art. And I don't think that I would have had the appreciation, or my career trajectory would have changed, because it held me so tight. Like I did kind of go in different directions before, but it was that space and that opportunity I had to study there at the Tate Modern that like brought me back, because I felt so welcome. Like that's like, I think that art has to. People are afraid to lean into art, and you have to make it so easy and accessible, and like it has to be a warm hug at the door to let people in and experience.
You're absolutely right. I have a background in museums too, and I've held them in contempt ever since I left. But then I also went to free museums, and I said, "Wow, this is really something." When it's not a sacrifice, to pay $25 to go to a museum, and I'm really excited to see that it looks like grassroots organizations are taking that prompt, right? They're creating these spaces where people can come in for free and experience art, like you said, create art, and even through this weird moment in our time, that it is a safe space. Because going back to the wellness, art is not. Actually, I heard a critic talking about mentionably worthy live matters murals. He's like, some of them were just wow, and some of them were great, and I took pictures of those and I put those on my website. And I thought, well, it's not really about the aesthetic, right? It's more about what the art does or did for the creation, for the community as they were creating it, or just the fact of having it in the public space, right? And I think that's such an important thing that we tend to overlook. We look at the product when it's done, we look at the artist, but we don't talk about the meaning that the power of an artist to have a space to create this, the meaning of this piece to exist in a community, regardless of aesthetic, right? So I think it's really important that like you're facilitating these crucial moments. And I think right now in the U.S., it's so important for us to kind of stake our claim and like, oh, this is the power of art. Because art, I think people think of like Guernica, like, oh, it changed the way we thought. Art doesn't really do that now in that way just because we have Instagram, right? We have the internet. We have all these things that kind of desensitize us. I think the magic is in the making, and in the community. So it sounds like you're part of that, and that's really exciting. Where do you see the future of Domingo?
I'm taking a week off in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna it's been such a whirlwind of amazing opportunities, and I'm really going to focus and hone in on what the next steps are. I think the first 3 months were exactly more than I could have ever wished for, that they came out of something so authentic and genuine, and like a lot of naive ideas about like what can be possible. And then now it's like I created a business plan. I have to kind of get back to the roots, because I feel like there's a lot of different avenues I can take. But I'm so excited about, working with one of my artist friends, Cisco Donoso, who's just, I know that you guys know each other, and he is just taking over the world and just doing such incredible things. And he's launching a home line today. And one of the patterns is called Domingo, and just like these amazing, just wonderful gifts from the universe. And so focusing more on that, focusing on, I'm announcing 3 new artists next week. Rosario Delgado, Melissa Dupont, and Maria Leibana. So there's going to be 10 artists
in this. I'm a huge fan of Maria Leibana.
Oh, yes! Oh, she's amazing. And so I have this group, and I want to focus. Like that's the next. The first 3 months was about opening. I still want the doors always open to everyone, but focus, see what I can do with what I have and what I built, and build plans around that, more community. I really, my dream would be to have all the artists, maybe once a year, just come together on a call or even in person eventually, if we can do that and share learnings and continue to build this community of Domingo clients and artists, and also start to focus on businesses that I can start working with, and doing some more educational work around that, what I've learned and what these artists have taught me, and bridging those gaps and getting maybe into curation and storytelling through these artists, using everything I have at the moment, and really leveraging that.
That's
and building from it.
Yeah, that's very smart. I think, another lesson the pandemic has taught us is relax. Think about it, enjoy the quiet for a minute and see what comes up, and then you just soar. So that's really exciting. I'm really excited for your projects and your art. It sounds amazing. Now, before I let you go, can you tell me maybe 3 things that are keeping you inspired, that are just giving you life right now? Music, books, movies.
Oh, absolutely. I've loved about this time is the opportunity to just have interior design, shows and all these, and I'm just, it's an obsession. I have that in the background of my mind all the time, but a big part of how I got the courage to launch Domingo was through music and through singing. And so I've been practicing. My husband plays the guitar and I sing, and it's just something fun, and but it's really like it gave me the courage. Like I one night just went kind of lost my mind and posted a video of me. This was before Domingo, before everything, mid-pandemic, like just feeling so bored and like, what am I going to do next? And that really gave me the courage to move forward. So that's like been, I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind when I'm feeling like, can I do this? It's like, you literally posted a video of yourself singing. That to me is like I'm being actually quite shy person. Like I was like, you can do that. You can do this. And again, back to what you were saying about wellness. And I've been working with some really cool groups of people that are like thinking about business, but working on yourself along with your business. And considering how you can use all your resources and the people around you and your ancestral history, and just this is all new territory for me. I've never in my life, like I was kind of just on the rack, I was on the wheel. Like I was just, I didn't have time. So it's been really inspiring and eye-opening.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Hello, sing, you guys. After this, I'm going to sing Radiohead,
It's so important. I think the power, I wrote this whole thing before. When you sent me the question, I was like, oh my God, I can't say this. It's so cheesy. But it's like, I do look at interior design like a song, and like how some people hear music with colors. I was like, that's how I feel like I do have this gift for harmony and like seeing spaces really harmoniously, and that music is like when I put on the radio and I just can think. Like it's so inspiring to me all the time.
I think the exact same thing. I think the only reason I'm an artist is because I can't sing, because I am so moved by music. And I literally, in my collage videos, I tell people, use a color 3 times and think about it as a rhythm, and it creates a pattern. But yeah, I think that's so important.
That's exactly how I think about like curating in the home. I always say that stuff. I'm like, the notes. Like I kind of look at I'm like, oh my God, it's like a song sheet. The way that I approach my work.
That's gold. Thank you for spending some time with me, and thank you for sharing these amazing insights. I look forward to connecting with you again.
Thank you so much for this awesome morning, and I wish you the best in Mexico. Have so much fun.
Thank you. I'll be back soon. We'll definitely have to connect. Ciao.
Yes, bye.